week, I decided I should give myself a fresh start for the new year. To do that, I'm going to go back and fix my worst art mistakes from 2020. This isn't just about me painting over something because I didn't like how it came out. This is about me attempting to put back together the could-be works of art that I have completely ruined. Starting with this poor mushroom house. This was my first attempt at combining three-dimensional clay elements to my wood slice paintings. It went really well until I left it outside among my daffodils in the pouring rain overnight. The wood slice expanded, causing the clay to pop off and a couple of cracks to form. The background I painted is surprisingly still in perfect condition, but you can still see the glistening slime from the little snail that called this home for a day. I originally worked so hard on this, and even though it's cracked and warped, I want to fix it up for myself. It deserved a much better life than this. I had to take off the remaining clay bits, then get started. My plan is to paint over all the raw wood and make a clay mushroom roof so it still has a similar feel to the original. I'm using air dry clay, which is made out of natural materials and doesn't require an oven or kiln. It definitely isn't waterproof though, so I'll be sure to put a finisher on it when I'm done this time. That's going to have to dry overnight, so I'm getting started on the next one. This one is just a blob of many failed painting attempts. I wanted to paint a sky with colors I don't normally use together, and I just couldn't get the colors to blend right. I kept priming it and repainting it to the point where it became too chunky to even work with. After sanding it and priming it one last time, I decided I wanted to play around with the texture the many layers of paint have given the wood. As it's a new year, I wanted to try some new techniques, so I decided to do an underpainting. I very rarely plan out my paintings, but I did with this one, and sketching it out with thin paint really helped, because I could focus more on the color and not worry at all about the composition. The original painting was definitely a fail, and it was refreshing to rework that into something completely different. Clearly, the original plan wasn't working for me, and there's nothing wrong with taking things in a new direction. It's okay to accept that not everything is meant for you. that I fixed these pieces isn't really the best way to put what I'm doing into words, because some things aren't meant to be fixed. Instead, you can learn from those things and transform them into something completely new. We shouldn't try to put old things back together, old habits, old relationships. We should try to grow from our experiences and create the next step forward for ourselves. Don't get me wrong, sometimes people and things grow with you, and that's great, but sometimes they don't, and it's up to you to decide which direction you want to go in. I realized that I really liked the look of the underpainting showing through, so I decided to make the whole piece thin layers of paint. This also made the texture underneath look much more interesting. The idea of this painting just came to me after looking at the texture of the wood slice, and I think it works perfectly for this. The old wood stump is slowing down and decaying, but new life is beginning all around him. This wasn't intentional, but this whole painting is a metaphor for the new year, and that makes this even more special to me. Seeing what this piece has turned into makes me so happy, and makes me feel confident that I can apply this idea to other areas of my life. You're not a failure if something doesn't work out. That closed door is bringing you on a path in a new direction, and new directions open us up to a world of possibilities. And here he is. I'm really, really in love with this piece, and I'm so happy to have him. After the mushroom roof was dry, I decided I wanted to add a little window. So while that dried again, I painted the rest of the house. The original design of the mushroom house was so simple. I was very outside of my comfort zone with the clay, so I didn't really bring my charm back into that piece. So this time, I wanted to make sure this house was warm and cozy and inviting. I went with a simple brown roof and just glued it on. I didn't have to add the clay back, and maybe you hate it, but it's different, and although it didn't work out the first time, that doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea that was worth exploring. I'm so excited to have this little mushroom house again, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. This was a really therapeutic thing to do, and it gave me the closure I needed to start 2021 with an open mind and a ton of inspiration. I hope maybe it inspired you too.